Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gope Sagovika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tatta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishavano Sade Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Mehevacha Padetanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Eastern section, second wave, Sadhana Bhakti. So, so the previous verses too were mentioned, which are well known. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagam uchyate. The vairagya, renunciation of that person who employs objects suitable for devotional development, while remaining detached from them, is said to be suitable for bhakti. The object should be persistently related to Krishna. So, and then Panchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshu viparityago vairagam falgu katyate. Rejection of things related to the Lord by persons desiring liberation who think that these things are simply material objects is called useless vairagya. So there's jnana and there's vairagya. We have to cultivate devotional spiritual knowledge. So that is important, especially in regards to pure devotional service. So Sambandha Gyan is there, Abhideya Gyan and Prayojan Gyan. So we have to understand our constitutional position as eternal servants of Krishna. And that at present we are in this material world, but we belong to the spiritual realm. So we have to engage in spiritual activities, and that is known as Sambandha Gyan. The Lord is there and we are the servants of the Lord. And then various devotional activities are to be performed according to the scriptures, according to the instructions of the spiritual master. So the process is known as Abhideya, performing devotional service according to the instructions of the spiritual master and the scriptures. And then in purified consciousness we learn how to engage in pure devotional service. So that is known as the necessity, Prayojan Gyan. So while we engage in devotional service and we learn more and more, and then so Gyan is there, and then a practical realization, Vigyan. But then we should also try to become detached from this material world. We cannot be engaged in devotional service and then also engage in material activities. Devotional service and sense gratification, they don't go together. So that has been explained. And the last verse, the daily and periodic duties of one ashram and the personal aspect of Gyan have already been rejected as angas of bhakti by using the stated definition of Uttam Bhakti obtained through the Bhakti scriptures. However, in order to make the point clear, the fourth type of vairagya has been again rejected as an anga of bhakti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has also explained that referring to the famous verse, Anyabilashita sunyam jnana karma navritam anukulina Krishna nushilanam bhakti ruttamam. It is Uttam Bhakti, pure devotional service. When one is free from any other desire, except the desire to want to satisfy Krishna as he wants. And then jnana karma navritam. So it should not be covered by fruitive activities or activities and then expecting some material result, and also should not be covered by the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth. So and then also, of course, as mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma, Nitya Dharma, so the actual constitutional position of the jiva, of the spirited soul, is to be engaged in devotional service directly to the Lord. And then the activities are there referring to one's position in this material world according to Varna Ashram. So that is known as Namitika Dharma. So that is there as long as we have this body. But the actual activity for the soul is direct devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord as He likes. So now today's verse 259. Dana shishadi bhedvara ya bhakti rupapadyate viduratvatutamatta anyatasya chanangata. That bhakti which is accomplished by dependence on wealth, followers or other objects cannot be considered as an anga of Uttam Bhakti because it destroys the pure nature of that bhakti. It is situated far away from Uttam Bhakti. So Jiva Goswami is commenting in the phrase Jnana karma navritam, not covered by Jnana karma or other things. Other things includes laxness in execution of bhakti. Bhakti accomplished through wealth and followers indicates this negligence or inattentiveness. Such execution cannot be accepted as an anga of Uttam Bhakti. So one should be free from the desire of wanting to have wealth and wanting to have followers and so on. Nadanam najanam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye. So Mahaprabhu has told. We do not want dhanam, wealth, janam, followers, sundarim, So beautiful wife and beautiful things of this world. But simply we should be desiring to be engaged in pure devotional service. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Among the angas of bhakti, wealth and the other items are generally not needed for hearing and chanting. The excellence of bhakti is destroyed when it depends on wealth and followers. For instance, in deity worship, one person may feel that he cannot perform all the services for the deity at once by himself and thus depend on followers. However, this danger is not present in all angas of bhakti. Any question? Any question? Text number 260. Visheshanatvam aiva samsamsayantadhikarinam vivekadinyatam misham api nangatvam uchate na angatvam. Translation: discrimination and other material qualities cannot be considered as angas of Uttam Bhakti, since on their own they take shelter of the excellent condition of persons practicing Uttam Bhakti. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Discernment and other qualities take shelter of the excellent condition, Visheshanatvam, of the devotees. Esham adhikarinam. Thus, discrimination on other qualities should not be considered angas. So, different limbs of devotional service are there. So, of course, the first is, what is the first anga of bhakti? First anga of bhakti? It's what? Guru Padashraya. Taking shelter of the spiritual master. So here, discrimination. So there's material discrimination. So of course that is not an anga of bhakti. And but if one is engaged in devotional service, one will get actually transcendental intelligence, and then there will be, of course, transcendental discrimination will be there. One will understand what is good and what is not so good for one's performance of bhakti. So that is clear. One, 261. Krishnan mukham sayam yanti yama sochadayastata ityesham chana yukta syad bhakta angantara patita. Translation: basic rules of conduct, yama, rules of cleanliness and other actions appear automatically in those who are extremely dedicated to Krishna. Thus, they are not included as angas of bhakti. Jiva Goswami's commentary. By stating that yama and socha automatically appear in the devotee, the author rejects them as angas of bhakti, actions that produce bhakti. The listed qualities end with verse 263. The rules of conduct are as follows. ahimsa satyam asteyam asango hrira sanchayah astikyam brahmachayam cha monam stairyam samabhayam. Non-violence, truthfulness, not coveting or stealing, the property of others, detachment, humility, freedom from possessiveness, trust in the principles of religion, celibacy, silence, steadiness, forgiveness, and fearlessness are the 12 primary disciplinary principles. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So the devotees in whom the good qualities do not appear on their own be considered to be actually non-devotees? This verse answers. Krishnana Mukam means extremely dedicated to Krishna. Krishna Utkrishta Mukam. For those persons extremely absorbed in Krishna, the good qualities spontaneously appear. So if one is engaged in devotional service, then automatically these good qualities will appear. So there's a list of 26 qualities of a devotee. And it is humble, tolerant, and is controlling the mind and senses. He's silent, means not talking unnecessary. He's eating frugally just enough to maintain body and soul together. And especially Krishnaika Sharanam, he's surrendered to Krishna. With body, mind, and the words, he's engaged in devotional service. And then as here the different qualities are explained. So, if one is engaged in devotional service, then one's consciousness becomes purified. And then all these qualities which are mentioned there will slowly but surely also and manifest. So if these qualities are not manifested, so that means he's not yet fully devoted, or he's not yet pure in consciousness. So it will take some time. So the devotee of the Lord is non-violent, ahimsa. He will try to be always engaged in devotional service, and he will try not to hurt others by his speaking, by his actions. Also in consciousness, he will be always positive towards others. He will see the good in others. So he's non-violent. Satyam, truthful. So he will always speak the truth. That is an important quality of a Vaishnava, of a Brahmana. Whereas those are not so Brahminical, and those who are not yet truly Vaishnavas, so they may sometimes be to some extent duplicitous, and they may not always speak the truth. They will be political. And so that can be seen also, even in a society of devotees. Those who are truly Vaishnavas, and they will be truthful. So even if one is not yet fully purified in consciousness, but practicing to the best of his ability, he will always try to be truthful, non-duplicitous, simple-hearted, sarlata, nishkapat bhav, a Vaishnavachar. So there's a behavior of a Vaishnava. He's very simple in his consciousness, in his speaking. He's polite, but he's straightforward and simple. And then automatically, if in consciousness, if he's simple, and in his speaking, polite and simple, and then physically also, he will live a simple life. And he will try to be engaged in devotional service, always. So being truthful. So basically one who is properly situated in devotional service, in the mode of goodness, and trying to become situated on the transcendental plane. So in these devotees, so these qualities are manifesting. So Asteyam, so he's not trying to covet or stealing or taking the things which belongs to others. And will not try to control others. So one is a genuine Vaishnava. Matrivat paradareshu paradavreshu lostravat. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu panditasa. What is it? So he's considered a pandit. So he's respecting others. So matrivat paradareshu. Except his wife, he will say other women as his mother. Of course, if they are elder, so if they are younger, then he will see just like a daughter. Paradravryeshu lostravat. Dravya, other things, paradravya, which belong to somebody else. He will just see like a piece of dirt. It is of no use for me. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu. And then he will treat all other persons like he would like to be also treated. So everyone wants to be treated nicely, right? So therefore we should then also treat others nicely. But those who are not properly situated, so then sometimes they try to get others' possessions or even others' position. So these things are there. In the conditioned souls, in those who are not yet so advanced. So Sangha. So one should be in Sangha and association. But we should be in the association of the devotees who are more advanced devotees who have the same mood as we have, Sajatya San, of the same mood. So devotees of Krishna are with devotees of Krishna, devotees of Vishnu are with devotees of Vishnu, devotees of Ram are with the devotees of Ramchandra Bhagavan. So that association is required, good association. And also in regards to things of this world, that so we should not be attached to things of this world. So that is not the meaning of our Sangha. But we should be attached to Krishna. We should be attached to the devotees of Krishna. We should be attached to perform devotional activities for the pleasure of Krishna. Humility, again very important also, as Mahaprabhu told. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnu namani namani ninakitani sahari sadahari. We should be humble, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree and give all respect to others and not expect any respect. So that is important. I am the eternal servant of Krishna. I'm the servant of 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 Krishna. I'm insignificant. But let me try to serve Krishna nicely. Let me try to serve Krishna's representatives. So that we have to cultivate. So we have to know and aware. We have to be aware. And we have to be introspective. We have to see our consciousness, our thought process. So we are engaged in devotional service, and then we may be properly situated, and then Krishna may give us our intelligence. At the same time, we have to be conscious ourselves also, and we have to try to have the proper consciousness, speak properly, act properly. So we have to also endeavor. So it's not that. So Guru, Gauranga, Krishna will do everything. They are merciful, but we have to endeavor. And we have to try to get the mercy of Guru, Gauranga, Krishna. Freedom from possessiveness. So, aham mameti, that we should give up. I and mine. But we have an identity, so we should not have a false identity, but we should have a real identity. And so false identity is I'm the best book distributor. I'm the head pujari. And then trying to, or identifying with this position. So that is then the material platform. So we may have a position, but then we should be humble and think of ourselves as simply the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna or Ram. So everything belongs to Krishna, and everything should be offered to Krishna. So we should be free from this possessiveness. And so by engaging in devotional service, and offering everything to Krishna, then slowly but surely you become free from this possessiveness. Astikyam. So, trust in the principles of religion. So, Vishwas, faith has to be there. In the principles of religion. So we should know them, and then we should try to act accordingly also. So humility. So we know we should be humble. And we may recite Trinadapi Sunichana. So, but then practically also we should be in this position. That I'm the servant of Krishna. And we should always try to be engaged in devotional activities. Celibacy, one has to be celibate. So, means no connection with the opposite sex, no intimate connection, unless one is married, but not otherwise. And even in married life, there should be control. Because so our constitutional position is to serve Krishna. And so that we engage everything in Krishna Seva, and body, mind and words also. So that has to be done. That has to be understood. So one has to be attracted towards Krishna. One has to have some loving sentiments, sneha, affection for Krishna. And then in this material world, so of course we have to deal with people and with devotees, and so one has to be then of course friendly and deal nicely with everyone as much as possible. So it's not that we are not talking to women, but we should so keep Krishna in the center, and one should be careful in regards to dealing with the opposite sex. So if one is, of course, properly situated on the spiritual plane, then it is easier to control the mind and the senses, the consciousness, the emotions. But if one is not so advanced, then one has to be careful and follow the rules and regulations, and then deal properly with persons of the opposite sex. So attraction in the conditioned state, it is almost natural to be attracted to things of this world. But then we have to engage in spiritual activities and try to develop some attraction, some affection towards the Lord. So spiritual life and material life is, and the material world of course is there, hand in hand, next to each other. And so this also sometimes told that it is like a razor's edge, so you have to be careful. Spiritual life and material life, spiritual world, material world. So we have to choose Krishna, we have to engage everything in Krishna Seva. You have to look towards Krishna, not towards the material world or Maya. Monam. So one has to be silent. One has to control the urge to speak unnecessary things. So we have to speak about Krishna, we have to glorify Krishna, we have to chant the holy names. So then some silence is there. So that also, it means that we should not talk nonsense or unnecessary thing or criticizing others. So then one is following this principle, Monam, Mon Vrat. So some sadhus, they do Mon Vrat. They don't speak to anybody. They're just chanting, doing their devotional service. And then they may not speak. Of course, they may do that for one day or they do for 1 month. But if one is glorifying Krishna, one is chanting holy names. So that is also silence. So we have to try to control the mind, because it starts from the consciousness. We should see the good in others. Unless one is in a position as spiritual master, as a leader, as a parent, then so of course we have to sometimes also correct others. So we should glorify Krishna, we should chant the holy names. And so that is perfect silence. And that is natural. If one is chanting the holy names, glorifying Krishna, one will not criticize others. There will be no prajalpa, unnecessary talk. But as practicing devotees, so we have to be introspective and we have to be aware that the natural tendencies there of the conditioned soul, or the practicing devotee is still also conditioned. And in this stage, one may not be so attached to Krishna and have not much taste for chanting the holy names or for serving the Lord. So that may be there. But by practice and by praying to Guru Garanga Krishna, then we may be properly situated and we may be able to be always positive and see the good in others. And so in this way, so one may be seen as silent. Stairam, steer, steady, devotee steady. Every morning he will get up early and then put on fresh clothes, and then he will do Mangalatik or attend Mangalatik, chant the holy names, do some worship of the Lord, hear about the Lord, what the Lord's name, form, qualities and pastimes. So he's fixed and he's sadhana. And then he will have some occupation and he will be fixed in that, and he will try to properly execute devotional service or whatever activity may be there. So with Krishna in the center. So morning he will be fixed in his program, and evening also. Kshama Bhayam. So he's forgiving. If somebody is doing something wrong, then we'll try to help and correct that person or devotee. So he will gently tell one person, this is not proper. Especially towards oneself, then if somebody is abusing us or pushing us or whatever, so then one, as much as possible, should be humble. So, and then even if somebody did something wrong or said something wrong, so directly or even indirectly towards us or others, but then of course one has to use one's discrimination, pray to Guru Garanga Krishna that we may have the proper understanding and discrimination, and not too quickly try to then punish somebody. Or so a devotee is very merciful, is forgiving, especially towards oneself. So Pinarapi Sunichina Tororapi Saishnuna Manina Manina Kirtaniya Sadhari. And he's forgiving others. So just like in the temple, if it is busy and sometimes some persons are there pushing somebody else, and so that may be there. But then we should not be unnecessarily upset and angry. Why are you pushing me? Or why is pushing me, this person? Or even if that person of devotee, he may apologize. And then one should accept the apology. But sometimes devotees also, we have seen, somebody is doing something wrong and to another devotee, and that devotee becomes angry. So, but the genuine devotee, so he will tolerate, and even if somebody did something wrong and then he realizes his mistake, he will go back to the person who he offended and he will beg forgiveness. And the true devotee will just say, yes, no problem. I'm not offended. Fine, don't worry. Because they are humble, tolerant. And so, humble, tolerant, respectful, forgiving, kind, merciful. And so on. So the point here which is made, that if one is engaged in devotional service, so these qualities will manifest slowly but surely. The more one is advancing, the more one is advanced, the more these qualities are manifest. Any question? No question? Question? No question? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.